Hi, and welcome to Season 2 of the Team Deakins Podcast, a collection of informal conversations between Roger and James Deakins and a guest. We never know where the conversation will take us, so listen in and see where it goes. This episode is sponsored by Aperture, a premier manufacturer of LED lighting with the industry's greatest variety of fixtures for your complete lighting needs. Aperture recently announced the new Storm family of lights. With LED white light quality that matches natural daylight and classic tungsten bulbs, plus extreme low-end dimming while maintaining color quality. Discover more about the new Storm lights and the complete Aperture lighting ecosystem at aperture.com. Today we're doing something different. We're recording this episode in Chicago with a live audience. Our guest is a location manager from Chicago whose credits include Somebody Somewhere, Jupiter Ascending, Chicago Fire, and Transformer Age of Extinction. We're pleased to welcome Stefan Nikolov. Stefan, thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much for having me. And as I said, it's a true honor to be a guest on your show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, we always start with the same question, which is basically, how did you get to where you are today? Where did you grow up? Were you always looking at buildings when you were a kid? So what's your story? How'd you get here?
Well, my story is, I'm originally from Bulgaria, and I spent the first 20 years of my life in Spanish-speaking countries because my parents are journalists, and they were back in the day, there was no internet, so the only way for people to get the news was to send somebody to a country and send the news from there. So my parents used to work for the Bulgarian news agency, and they were sent first to Cuba, then to Spain, then to Mexico, and they used to have this big bulky machine called a telex. And it had like this tape that used to you would punch the holes on the tape. I lived in all those countries with them, and then when I was in Mexico, when I was 22 years old, I said, well, what should I do? Should I just go back to Bulgaria, or maybe I should try something else? And through a friend of mine, I ended up here in Chicago, and my first job was I was a cab driver, and that's how I made it through the first few months here. And then at one point I said, well, maybe I should do something else now that I'm here. And I've always loved movies, and the movie that actually got me into the film business is Star Wars. I have to admit it. And
you're not the only one. So many people have said that.
And there was a book actually that I read in one night, and it's the story of how George Lucas made Star Wars. It's a book called Skywalk, and it's how he made Star Wars. So I read that book, and I didn't understand all of it because I didn't speak English very well back then. And the next morning I said, you know what, that's what I want to do, something related to movies. And I enrolled in the only film school that I could afford at the time, which is a local school here in Chicago called Columbia College. Mm-hmm. And I graduated 2 years later from there. There was a job posting saying that there was a place called the Career Office back then. I don't know if it still exists, but so they were looking for somebody for an intern on a big movie that was coming to Chicago called Mercury Rising, with an actor at that time, which was Bruce Willis. And they needed someone who spoke Spanish because they were going to film the movie mostly in a Spanish-speaking part of town in Pilsen. So I applied, and I never thought that I would ever get the job. And next thing you know, I got the call, and I interviewed, and they hired me, and I was an intern in that movie. I was an intern in the locations department. I had no idea what the locations department is or what the locations people do in the first place. And then little by little, after that movie, I just got a call on another movie, and 20-something, 5 years later, here I am, being a location manager.
But what did you learn at the film school you went to? I mean, you didn't have location management in mind, did you? I mean, what were you studying?
I was actually going for editing. I wanted to be an editor. But when you at that stage, at that point when you graduated from film school, you would be happy to just get on a film set in any capacity. You could not just pick what you wanted to do. It was like, okay, there is a job, you take whatever. If you can be a PA, you will be a PA. If you can be an intern, you just took whatever you could.
But was there a point where you went, oh, maybe I want to be a location manager as opposed to an editor? Or did you just fall into it?
I think I just fell into it. I guess I'm somewhat good at it because they just kept hiring me in the locations department. So as I said, I was a scout for many years. Then I was a location assistant. Then I was a assistant location manager, and then I became a location manager about 10 years ago or so. So just the career progression that you go.
Can you explain what those different positions are in the locations department?
Sure. So the location scout, I think it's the most obvious one. That's when you just have to find the locations, and you get the script, and you talk to the production designer and to the director of photography as well. And you just have to find, okay, so you need a specific house, or you need a pharmacy, or you need a cemetery, or an airport, or whatever the location is. And you just approach those different places. You take pictures, you present them to the director and to the production designer. And then,
what about the location manager? Are you presenting to him too, or her?
Yes. I mean, you report directly to the location manager. It's a creative process that involves everybody, but the location scout, I think it's an underrated job actually, because people don't realize how important it is actually, because you're the person that makes the first contact with the location. So that's the location scout. The location assistant actually it's a very what's the word, ungrateful position, because you are the one that has to be at 3 a.m. on the street, parking the trucks and putting the cones on the street, and doing all the dirty things that no one actually appreciates you for doing, and you're getting paid very little money usually.
Did you regret moving from scout to assistant location manager? Because scouting kind of is like, you just wander around looking for things. You've not really got that kind of pressure of where the bloody trucks are going, where the actor wants their truck, relative to everybody else's.
The location scout is obviously the more glamorous position. I mean, actually a lot of people, they don't even know what the location manager is. They don't know what the position is. You hear location scouting, it just makes more sense in people's minds what a location scout is, opposed to, everything else. But yeah, sure. I mean, I would be a location scout any day before I have to, close the set and pick up the garbage after the crew and the bottles and the...
But is the location manager, I'm trying to understand why everybody doesn't want to be a scout. I mean, does the location manager tell you, okay, look for this? Is he or she the conduit of the information that's coming to you?
Yes. As I said, usually the location manager, we work with the production designer and the director, and they would just give us the direction of what we need to find. We get the script initially, and we read the script and we break down the scenes by locations, and we kind of have an idea of what we're looking for. And then we get with the production designer, the director, and they're like, okay, so we need this type of house and we need to find it kind of in this area. And after a few years, you have an idea already where areas would work or where should we look for. And then you direct the scouts to go and search in specific areas.
But sometimes there's a location that in the beginning we think it's going to be this, but then the location department shows us something that's completely different and works better. So who does that? Who has the forethought to think, well, this isn't the blue house that they wanted, but this bar actually could be better? The
location manager, it also goes the other way around. Many times you have a director that he would say, okay, I'm looking for a blue house. And then you show him 10 different blue houses. And then he's like, I actually want a red house. And it has happened so many times.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Exactly. And it has happened so many times that, well, not so many times, but it has happened quite a lot when we would start scouting for something. And then we would present the director one option, two options. We would scout for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and he wouldn't like anything. And then 2-3 months later, we would go back to the very first option that we found.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Why didn't you show me this before? And it's the first thing that we showed him, So it happens.
It's rather like when you do sort of 80 takes of a shot and then the playback person plays the director take one and the director says, yeah, why haven't we got that?
It's exactly the same as with the locations, yes.
Memories. I want to ask, how much, when you're scouting, how much do you take into account the practicality of the location? Because, I mean, we've been on films. I've been talking about a location with a scout and a production designer, and they're not being right. And then the scout said, well, there is this one, but that it was hesitant to show us because it had practical problems.
No, but there's also the other situation where they say this is the perfect location. Oh, yeah, it's just a narrow stairway up 8 flights of stairs, and you've got to bring the equipment all the way up. So
James is thinking of a location we scouted in New York. It was on Park Avenue, I think it was. It was like the 11th floor in an apartment building. It was beautiful, but we were shooting in the winter and there were daylight scenes. So you were immediately blocked into a very narrow window shooting because there was no way you could light it because you couldn't put anything on Park Avenue. But then, as James said, there was one elevator to get in and out, and it was about the size of this table. And it went about that fast.
I was actually thinking of the one in Amsterdam where there was no elevator. But anyway, our question is, do you think about that, or do you just leave it up to us?
You have to. And the reality is when you get a little smarter with experience, so you know where not to take the director and what areas not to scout, even though they might be perfect for the scenes. And you just get picky. And especially now, I mean, I've worked mostly in Chicago, and there are certain areas that I know that they might be ideal for the shot, but there are gonna be problems, and we just avoid them, and we just show the director options that we know that will be logistically easier to film.
Yeah, but what if you show them something that's not so good logistically, and you say it's really not good logistically, and then they say they love it, and then
they like
later,
a challenge.
Yeah, well, no, but then later they go, "Why the hell did you pick this
It happens all the time. It happens all the time, actually, and it's a fine line between finding the right location in the right area for the right price a lot of times, and I mean, it's my job to tell the director and the producer, yes, we can go to this area, but you know what? It's gonna cost a lot of money to provide extra security, or there might be a gang down the street that you have to pay off, and we've been there. Yes, this is Chicago, so we've seen it all. We've seen it all here.
We shot on a location in Baltimore once, and it cost a lot because there was a gang fight, shots going off down the street. So the number of security you had to have around the crew was, anyway.
We filmed actually. I mean, and this was in the news actually a couple of years ago on a pretty big show called Justified, City PRIMEVAL, and we were filming one night on the south. It wasn't actually even like the south side, like the really bad part of the south side. We were the southwest side of the loop, and we were filming it was a scene where we had a chase scene between two cars, and we had closed down the street, we had police, we had barricades, everything, and while we were filming, all of a sudden there was like a real chase between two cars, and they were shooting at each other. So it got really, really scary, and the production shut down, and it was a very scary situation.
Did you get blamed for choosing that location?
I wasn't, because the producers chose that location. I had told him don't go there, but he said no, this is great. He wanted to Anyway, I'm not going to.
Yeah, right. More diplomatic to end it there. Yeah, right.
So when you break down a script, do you figure out what the most important locations are story-wise, and then the other locations, do you try and fit in sometimes if they're close to the other location, so you could do half a day on one and then half a day without a big travel?
We usually give the best options. We don't think, as a location manager, my goal is to present the best options to the director. And then once we kind of figure out, okay, this might work, this might not work, then the first AD, the first assistant director, he would put together the schedule and he might say, you know what, can we find this? If we are only for half a day at the hospital, can we find a hospital that is closer to the house or the?
So you drop the other hospital that you had chosen? That is
correct. Even though the hospital is a bad example because it's very hard to find a hospital that is film friendly.
Yeah,
this is the big problem in Chicago. We don't have too many empty hospitals, and hospitals are always a tricky location because you have to. I mean, if you're lucky, you have a hospital that has an empty floor, and then they would let you film at that hospital. But like if it's a house, it's much more flexible, of course. So you can find a house pretty much anywhere.
How do you deal with, like, on a TV show that goes on for a number of seasons and there's a repeat location? I've always wondered about that because on a movie, usually, I mean, you sometimes shoot in continuity, so you're in one location, then you leave it, and then you go back later in the shoot. But it's still within a shorter period than if you're on a TV show.
Well, that's a good question, and I'll give an example with Shameless, the TV show. There was a TV show, Shameless, that we filmed here for 10, 11 seasons. It was probably one of the most famous projects that I have ever worked on. Like, it's when people hear Shameless, oh wow, Shameless. So anyway, so the hero house, there was a hero house that's where the main actor, where the main characters of the show lived, and it was a small house in Lawndale, which is it's in the neighborhood, again, on the southwest of the city. So we would approach the owners, and the first season was like, hey, we want to film at your house, and we signed the location agreement with them. We would pay them a certain amount of money, and then the next season we told them we might come back for the next season, and so we went back the next season, and they're like, oh wow, that's great. So we paid them a little more money, and then as the seasons progressed, the show became immensely popular, and they would ask for even more money every time. But not only that, the house became so famous, and the show was so famous that people literally from all over the world would come to Chicago just to go see that house. And and there were so many people going to the house that they broke the porch of the house. So the owners of the house, they put a little sign there, and they said, if you want to take a picture here, you have to leave $5 because we have to repair the porch. And that's literally how it, I mean, I was there when people from Turkey would come and people from China, tourists they would just randomly show up and they would just take a picture of the house. That's the Shameless house. And it was something there. But yes, to answer your question, you sign up, you just tell them, hey, we might come back next year, and we might come back. And it's not only the house, it's like the whole street, because everybody else, like for that specific location, we had to sign location agreements with the whole block because we were closing down the street, and logistically it was like a complicated set.
Well, you ever had somebody say no that you had to change houses in the middle of a shoot? People that had to change a script, so the family had to move.
It happens too. Yes, yeah. It's always, that's one of the things that doesn't let me sleep at night sometimes. What if they say no? What if for the next season they're like, no, you can not come back here?
Well, one of the things you have to be also is sort of the ambassador for the film, because you have to keep them happy. And usually after people are exposed to a film crew, they're not that happy. And you're the one that has to make them not pull out at the last minute, right?
That's right. It's especially if you're at some high-end condo somewhere, and people, I always say that the most difficult locations to film at are not the big, office buildings and factories and
who
airports.
Cares what happens there?
Yes, but it's the houses. Those are always the trickiest locations, because you're dealing with someone's house. It's like the most private thing that you can get, and you're asking someone to get in their house and to move all their furniture and to change their bed linens and to have sex on their bed, so it happens. So that's how it is, and you have to present it in a nice way to people. So that's
how
what we want to do.
How do you present that in a nice way?
And I was wondering how you warn them that all these people are going to be in their house. It's not just 3 people, and that all this equipment is coming in. How do you get that across before the first day?
Our local pub in Devon, we have a place in a little village in Devon, right? And their big claim to fame is that once the French lieutenant's woman was shot there, right? So they got pictures of Meryl Streep and who was it? Jeremy Irons, right? Up on behind the bar, but they love the pictures, but they'll never let them shoot there again.
It's a very tricky thing, and usually you do it. I mean, there are 2 approaches. One approach is to say it outright. Hey, we're coming to your house. If you let us in your house, just be prepared.
We'll destroy it.
It's a combination of a construction crew, a circus, and a military invasion. So just be prepared for it. And it's going to be 80 people going in your house, and it's going to be, we'll move everything. It will be trashed. Just be prepared. So you're signing up for that, and, that's it. The other approach is doing it little by little. Hey, so we need to come for a day here. We'll scout it first. Oh, yeah, it looks great. And then the art department will come, and we need to measure it, and then this and that. So it really depends on how. It's a tricky job to present it the right way. My approach is never lie to people. You have to be like, when they ask you questions, I never downplay it. I tell them outright, hey, this is gonna be big, and this is what's gonna happen. So again, you have to make people comfortable. And the good thing is, in Chicago we have very good crews, the set dressing crews. That's really it's not only the filming crew, but the set dressing crew, the striking crew. So the ones that know what they're doing, they do a really good job. So we get invited again to a specific location.
And also, since you sort of specialize in Chicago, you may want to use those locations again, right? So if they had a bad experience the first time, the next film you're on, you're not going to be able to use that same thing.
And I wouldn't feel good with myself. I think it's about like really your professional pride. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you see these are people, it's like, I think, what if someone came to my house and they promised me all these things?
Never.
I would never let a film crew in my house, never. But no, it's my job to make it right. And of course, we sign in the contract, it says that we have to leave the location in the same or a better condition that we find. If we break anything, we're responsible. There's like the whole insurance side of it. But beyond that, you just want people, you don't want to be the guy that, that guy, Stefan, he was here. I will never let another film crew get in our house. So,
have you ever had someone halfway through the shooting go, that's it, I don't want to see you guys ever again. Don't come back, even though you haven't done all the scenes yet?
Fortunately, no. And I hope it never happens. You always have, if you're filming for more than 1 day, 2-3 days, on the second day, people would call me and they were, you know what, you broke that thing there, and that painting, you scratched the painting. You just say, right, that's okay, we'll fix it, don't worry about it.
And you always have those signs, no coffee, no food, and I've never seen that followed ever.
Exactly. Yes.
But do you put, like, if you're shooting in a house, do you put a family up in a hotel somewhere or rent another house? But couldn't you make that far enough away that they can't visit every day?
Well, again, it's tricky because you tell, people, it's people's house, so they have the right to come at any time, but at the same time, you don't want them there while you're filming or you're dressing their house, because they come and they're like, holy cow, what did you do to my house? And so you just, again, it's a maneuvering thing when you have to keep them happy and keep the crew happy, keep the director happy. the director of photography who wants to attach a light to the ceiling. So, you know.
Yes, I've been screwing in pigeons in the ceiling so you can hang a light and stuff. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and then the ceiling falls down.
Yeah.
And then we have to repair it.
Yeah,
call locations; they'll fix it.
I wanted to ask you, because you did work on Chicago Fire, and they intersect so much, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and Chicago Med. So if there's a scene in the script in Chicago Fire that, let's say, they're on a location, but then Chicago PD's there too, and I mean, whose job is it when it intersects like that? Which show? Because you're not on all of the shows, right? It's just Fire.
Right. I actually worked only on season 1 of Chicago. I worked on the pilot. On the pilot of Chicago Fire when no one knew about Chicago Fire. It was season 1. And so it all started with Chicago Fire, I want to say 12 years ago, because it was right when my son was born. So yes, 12 years ago. And at the very last episode of Chicago Fire, they said, "Oh, we're gonna do another show called Chicago PD." And the way to connect the two shows was we were going to do a what is it called? A crossover episode, I think. Yes, a crossover. So they had this huge scene in downtown Chicago where we had to. It was like a train and a helicopter and like cars, and we had to close down 5 blocks of. It was a huge logistical scene, and it was just very complicated. But anyway, so that's how we did it. Like we did that was the last episode of Chicago Fire, and for the season, and then that was the first episode for Chicago PD. And then I think a couple of years after that, they came up with Chicago Med. And then I think there was at one point a show called Chicago Garbage or something like that. No, I mean like they were picking up the. I'm not sure, but there was one more.
That sounds good. Somebody's going to get that idea. If there isn't one now, there will be.
There you go.
But are they separate crews?
Yes, they're separate crews.
So separate location managers?
Yes, they're separate location managers. They are usually 2 location managers for, I think there are actually, I think one of them is a colleague of mine that he worked on Chicago PD for many years. But yes, every show has 2 location managers, and they go. So one location manager would do the even episodes, and the other one would do the odd episodes. So they just go, one and one.
On one of the shows, but what if it intersects with one of the other shows? I mean, like they go to the hospital all the time in Chicago Fire, right? So who's responsible for the hospital set?
I think the hospital set was it's a stage.
Oh, it is a stage.
Yeah, it's not a because when they have so many recurring sets and they know that they'll go back,
right?
It's a stage. It's like the same like with the police station, I think, and those
that
are
makes
just
it easier.
Those are on the stage. Yes, so those are our favorite days when they're like, okay, when you see on the call sheet, stage there, great. That's it. We're
Day
not going
off.
on location.
So tell us about the crews here. Do you know other location managers? How many people are there in the film industry in Chicago? And you are you a tight community? Do you swap stories about locations? Do you get information about certain places that work and don't work?
House.
All the time, yes. The location managers, we all know each other. We're about, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 people, and some people specialize, they work specifically on commercials, let's say. Other people work mostly on TV. Some of us work on both on TV and movies, and yes, we all know each other. Sometimes if you're working on something and you get a call, you would say, I cannot do this job, and you would recommend someone else to do, like one of your colleagues, another location manager. We get along for the most part. Sometimes you just know that, I mean, we are all colleagues. So at the end of the day, we help each other out, and we have our meetings where we talk about different locations and where to go. Like if you have had problems in a certain part of the city, but yes, the answer is we all know each other. So we all work together.
And how different is it working on like a TV series to working on a film that might come here for a couple of weeks? I mean,
it's very different. With the film, you have much more time to prep it and so a film comes and okay, and it depends also on the size of the film. If it's a smaller independent film or if it's a really big film. With the TV, it's much more hectic. The pace is much faster because you're prepping an episode that shoots 3 weeks from now. So you have the director, and then you have the production meeting and the concept meeting, and everything is much faster and much, as I said, much more hectic than opposed to a film, which you have, we'll film this 5-6 months from now. But the downside to it is that with TV, okay, you lock your locations that are going to happen in 4 or 5 weeks. With a movie, you're locking your locations that are going to happen in 5 months or 6 months, and you don't know if at that time that the owner might be a different homeowner. Anything can happen, 5-6 months from now. So that's the downside to working on a movie.
How early are you usually brought in a movie?
Depends on the movie. If it's a big ambitious project, sometimes even 7-8 months before you start production. With a TV show, it's again, if it's a well put together show where the producer and everybody, they know what they're doing, it's usually 3-4 months probably. And sometimes if they're really running and they're coming in hot in town, they'll get the call, can you start on Monday? And we need to start scouting right away. And the script is not ready and this and that. So it's really different every time.
So when a movie's, let's say, been shooting in LA, but they're coming to Chicago to shoot certain scenes, and they want you to find that, how do you work with that? Do you have the opportunity to talk with the director, or are you talking to the other location manager in LA, let's say? Do you look at dailies? Does that affect? Do you have to know what they've shot and what to offer them here?
They are usually if they come to Chicago, they come to Chicago for a reason. They want to come here, and they have specific locations, specific looks that they are pursuing. So they'll be very specific. Okay, this is what we are looking for. The reality is that a lot of movies and projects come to Chicago because of the tax incentive. We have a tax incentive in Illinois. So I have worked over the past year, especially on a couple of projects that they came specifically here because they'll get their money back. So that's the reality of it. I mean, at the end of the day, they just have to make money and.
Does that mean, it used to be that a lot of films shot in Montreal and they had to shoot for New York in Montreal or
Toronto.
Toronto, yeah. Or we've shot a lot in New Mexico, but it was meant to be Texas and things like that. So do people come to Chicago and you have to find New York and maybe Sao Paulo or whatever? I don't know. How much of that is there?
All the time. It happens all the time, and especially with as you mentioned with Toronto, they would film. They would come here. I would get a call from a producer, and they would say, "Hey, we are filming a movie that is staged in Chicago, but we're filming it in Toronto. So we are coming to Chicago for 2 or 3 days just to get our establishing shots and to get the train, because get the real Chicago landmarks." And then they are taking the movie to Toronto or to somewhere or Montreal.
But what if they come here and they want to be shooting it for New York, let's say, because they don't want to shoot in New York?
I don't think I specifically haven't worked on something that shoots Chicago for New York. It's usually Canada. For some reason, it's a lot of Toronto. And actually, I just finished working on a project now that, again, they're filming most of it in Toronto. They're coming to Chicago, and they're building actually a huge set in Toronto that is going to look like Chicago, but it's not Chicago. They're building it over there, and they're just going to come here just to...
You need a bigger tax rebate to get them back here, don't you?
Well, now with the Canadian dollar, I think they just get... It's much cheaper to film there than to film here in Chicago.
There'll be a few other things too, but we won't go there.
Shut up. Also, don't they come here to sort of shoot Middle America? Like that TV show, I can never remember, Somebody Somewhere. Yeah, that's so Middle America. I mean, it's great. It's amazing.
That was supposed to be Kansas, actually. Yes.
Oh, really?
And, we filmed... it's one of my favorite shows, actually, that I've ever worked on, because it was like a very low-key show. It didn't have any special effects, no chases. It was just it was a very human show. But yes, it was supposed to take place in Kansas, and we ended up filming it in a small town here called Lockport, which is about an hour southwest of the city. And everybody was great. Everybody was very excited. But yeah, it was, again, just they got their money back with the tax incentive opposed to filming it in Kansas.
And had Lockport ever had a movie shoot there before?
They have. It's
really?
It's a very cute town. It has a very unique look to it that can be in Illinois, or it can be in Kansas, or it can be in like anywhere in the Midwest. So there've been a lot of projects filming there lately. Yes.
Because sometimes when you shoot someplace where they haven't had a lot of movies shooting there, it's a lot easier. We shot in Budapest before everybody went to Budapest and had to snow the whole street and stop the traffic, but they loved it. They'd never seen it before, but in 3 years, we knew they wouldn't love it so much.
That's absolutely true. And sometimes it's one of the advantages to going to a new place where no one has filmed there before is that people are excited about it. Yeah. And people, come over here. Yeah, come to my house. And yeah, we can do whatever you want here. Opposed to if you're filming in Chicago, where people know the drill here, and they're like, okay, so if you come to my house, it's gonna cost this much money, and you can do this, and you cannot do that, and so it has its advantages filming in places where no one has filmed there.
You say it was like an hour outside of town, but there's usually like a zone, isn't there, for a union, what the driving distance is from a base. So how do you service that? You must take that into account, surely.
So there too, it's a 30-mile radius, and it can be measured in two different ways, and I never know. One is called how you drive 30 miles, or the crows fly if you just draw a straight line. So the idea there is that you have to stay within a 30-mile radius of the production office. So where the production office is, you measure 30 miles and you have to stay within that area. Or I mean, you can go beyond that area, but it's just more expensive for the crew. You have to pay them extra and things like that.
Mm. Have you ever worked on a period film? Is everything you've done contemporary? I mean, have you ever had to...
I worked on there was a TV show a couple of years ago called Shining Girls, where we had to recreate a battlefield in France during World War II. Near Chicago.
Perfect.
And we found the location.
Oh, wow.
And we did create the whole scene. It was literally a battle, and we had soldiers, like World War II soldiers with rifles and everything, explosions, mines, and legs and arms flying out in the air, and it was challenging but interesting.
Well, was it particularly challenging though of doing period? I mean, did you manage to find a location where you didn't have to change a lot of things, or what?
Well, it was just a battlefield. So I mean, a battlefield is a battlefield.
So it wasn't in amongst houses.
It didn't have satellite dishes.
Well, actually,
around.
on one side there was a huge Amazon warehouse, so we had to avoid it, and the DP had to, we filmed everything in one direction, so we didn't see the Amazon warehouse.
No, I was only asking because it's so much now with CGI post. You can leave so much in. They could have painted the Amazon warehouse out now and not worried about it.
The challenge on that show was that right the day before we were going to film the scene, the battle scene, and we had all this. The prop master, he had brought all these rifles and like knives and whatever, and they were going to shoot the blanks with the rifles. Right? It was all set up already. So right the day before is when the Alec Baldwin thing happened.
Yeah. Oh my gosh!
It was literally the day before. So we got the memo from the studio. so we could not use even blanks. So all the extras and the actors, when they filmed the scene shooting, they actually had to be like boom boom, like that's right. What they were saying. Like the studio just wouldn't let us use even blanks. Like all blanks had to be taken off the prop guns.
Is it more fun though when you have to do something like that? Find World War I here in Chicago?
I would rather film on Walker Drive than have to find a World War II battlefield. I mean, at some point, we'll find any location. I mean, if I have to find a space station, I mean, we'll find it and we'll make it work. And there are actually many locations in Chicago that very few people know that they even exist here. For example, there is a whole under the whole downtown area in Chicago, there is a whole maze of, it's like a subterranean city almost, because 100 years ago, the way to heat the buildings downtown was they had these tunnels underground, and they would carry, they had literally like these small, almost like trains or cars that would just drive down there, and they would bring coal, so they would heat up the buildings. And that whole, it's a whole network that expands maybe 2 or 3 square miles. It's all under the loop, and no one knows about it, but it's still there. And we got to film a couple of years ago on a show, and I got down there, and there's a way to get down there. And once you get there, it's amazing. Like, it's literally like tunnels that goes for like miles in all directions, and people, I mean, probably there are like dead people somewhere there, because like you can kill somebody, just dump them there, no one will ever find them.
But once you've used a location, I mean, with some directors, if they know that location's been used by another director previously, they don't want to shoot there. They just want to shoot on something that's theirs first time. Do you come across that?
All the time. They all say, oh, don't take me to something that has been filmed already, like just show me something new. We're the different show. We're not like the other shows. We're a different show. So, okay, so you just go through your files. Okay, let's reshoot this thing and show it to him. He'll never know that we filmed here before. This house is super friendly, but don't call the owner. Hey, I'm going to bring this direct. Don't tell him we filmed the show here. It happens all the time.
Sometimes directors aren't so good. They know what they want, but they're not so good at explaining it. They think they are, but they're not being very clear. So do you have any tricks to try and figure out what it is that they're trying to go for?
Let's say they want a house. You shoot the house. You show it to them. They don't like it. A week later, you shoot it from a different angle. You show it to them, they'll love it. So, believe me, it happens so many times.
Yeah, but there's also the other one, though. Some location scouts, naughty, they'll take this one shot and you go, yeah, that's beautiful. But you've got a whole scene to shoot, and you get to that location, you drive 30 miles to the edge of the area, and you look at the shot and think, yeah, that's wonderful. And you look around, yeah, and there's the Amazon warehouse. So it's pointless. You have to really, don't you? You have to show kind of a 360, unless you know the director is just wanting one shot.
Well, yes. When you're scouting, you have to show in all directions. Yeah. You show a 360. You scout in all directions, and when you are presenting the pictures, you have to, be upfront and say, okay, this is great, but there is this problem here, and there is a huge factory in the back, like next to a nice, cute house. So. Those are the part of the job, to just present all elements, and then he'll decide if he wants to film there or not.
And does the production designer talk to you a lot too? This is what I want. This is what I want.
Actually, I get my marching orders mostly from the production designer. The director, he would work with the production designer, and then I work mostly with the production designer, and then that's how I get what we need to find.
So have you ever been shooting on a location? Like I was very early on, I did a TV show, and the scene was in a apartment and like you're 4 floors up, nice apartment in a very swanky neighborhood in London, and there had to be an explosion, so the window blows out and stuff. That's what was supposed to happen. So we set up the cameras and the explosion happened, and not just the one window blew out, but the whole front of the flat blew out. And that was the last shot of the evening. We hightailed it after that. Have you ever had that situation? The poor location guy was standing there and the cop cars are coming. Oh my God.
That's right. We pick up the bill at the end of the day. It's like, it's always locations. We are always the first people to be on set, the last people to leave, and everything that has to do with the location. It's always the crew, the production designer, the producer. They always at the end go back to us, and it's like, okay, locations, like we did this, like can we fix it? And we have to fix it. And
so tell us, what would... Just so if anybody was interested in getting into this line of work, tell us about your hours and the time you work and how many people you're kind of controlling.
I would say don't get into my line of work. If you want to have a life and a family, find something else to do. Well, it really depends on the size of the project. And if it's a really big show, there would be a supervising location manager. There would be a location manager. Then you would have several assistant location managers. Then you would have the location assistants, the set assistants, the location scouts, the locations PA. So it's really, if it's a big TV show or a big movie, sometimes I've had maybe 15 people under me, 15 assistants. And if they are very complicated days that are logistically complicated, I would bring in more people, what we call day players, to just help on the day. But on the filming day, the filming day starts at, not the filming day, but I would have to be on set at like 4 a.m. sometimes, again, to make sure that all the trucks with the equipment, they have, the streets are clear for them to park. So they come in, then let's say the crew arrives at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and then you stay. If I'm the location manager, I don't stay. I would open what we call the open set, make sure everything is running smoothly, and then I would just go and take a nap, hopefully somewhere after that. But it's very long hours, and yes, if you want to have a normal life, maybe you should do something else.
Presumably, when you set up the shoot crew, though, then you're off to prep what's happening the next day or the next week.
That's exactly right. Usually, that's the most common thing is like I would open set and there would be like a production meeting maybe at 9 a.m. that I have to start talking about the next day or the next episode.
And one of the things when you're starting a movie, do you need to know how many trucks there's going to be? How big is the convoy going to be? Because is that something that you take into account when you find the perfect location, but there's nowhere to park the trucks? Is that something that you're thinking about?
I am, but that's usually not such a big consideration. Like if we find the perfect location,
then everyone else can
everybody
walk.
else has to make it work. Even if the trucks are half a mile away or a mile away, we'll shadow everybody, we'll shadow the equipment, and we'll make it work.
That's your job too, is shuttling?
That's actually a different department.
Okay.
That's the transportation department. But I have actually a funny story that happened maybe 2 years ago, which I don't remember which show was it, but we were filming at a house in Humboldt Park, which is a neighborhood near downtown. So we were filming at this house, and we were going to start filming there on Monday morning at like 7 a.m. was crew call. All the trucks were supposed to arrive at 2 a.m. to start parking, and the house was next to Humboldt Park, there is a pond there. So it was like a very busy morning, and I wasn't even driving to set yet. But anyway, I get a call at 3 a.m. and I was still sleeping. And that's the worst thing. Like that's the worst thing that can happen is you get the call at 3 a.m. Stefan. And it was the transportation captain. And he's like, where we wanted to park by the pond. That's where all the trucks are supposed to go. The park is closed and they're not letting us in park there. And I was like, what are you talking about? We have the permit. I have the permit. Everything is set up. Well, the police has closed the park and they're not letting anybody in. And I was like, why? What's happening? We have, well, it's because of the crocodile. And I was like, what?
Gotta love the film business.
So what happened was that, and people from Chicago probably remember that story, but a couple of years ago, some guy, it was in the middle of the summer, he had a crocodile pet, and he got the crocodile, I guess, grew too big, and he decided to release it somewhere, and he decided to release it in the pond in Humboldt Park. So he released it there, and every now and then the crocodile would just go up, and he would just look around, and he would go on the shore, and then he would go back in the water. And the city said, well, this cannot keep happening. We have to catch the crocodile. So they decided to catch the crocodile the day when we were going to be filming there. So they closed that whole area. And there we are trying to come with the trucks and park there. But the police said, no, you cannot park because we have to catch that day the crocodile.
So what did you do?
I had to call my contact at the film office at 3 a.m. and hey guys, we need to park the trucks there. I mean, the crocodile is there. I know, but so fortunately it worked out. They made the call, and they called the police, and the police, okay, you can park the trucks here
and stay in the truck.
And stay exactly. You never know what would happen with the crocodile. Yes, but so this is the kind of stuff that we have to do sometimes at 3 a.m. the crocodile.
There must be also, it's Chicago being Chicago, you must also have kind of problems with the weather. I mean, I find one of the most frustrating things one of the things that are most complicated to kind of work out is to have weather cover for a shot, for an exterior scene that you want in a certain light. And if you've not got it, then you need to have another day you can go to. Do you work like that? Is that a problem?
It's absolutely, yes. It's a problem because it's very unexpected. The weather is very, very unexpected in Chicago, especially in the last few years when this climate change has switched the seasons, and you just never know what's gonna be. You expect snow, and like there is nothing like snow, or vice versa. So I always tell the producers when we are planning something that is going to happen 2-3 months from now, hey, just don't rely on snow or not snow, because you just never know what the weather is going to be like.
So what do you do? What do you do in terms of cover? Is it usually a set somewhere? Is usually a film got a set? I mean, it used to be the running gag that we would always carry a phone booth in the UK, so there would always be a scene in the phone box. So we'd carry a phone box on the prop trailer, so we could nothing else we could shoot. We could do the scene in the phone box.
Here in Chicago, we usually go to stage.
Yeah,
we have a stage set up, and like the day before, like 2 days before, everybody would get the call, hey, it's gonna rain that day, so let's just go to stage. Or maybe you switch locations at the last minute, and that's my worst nightmare game, because you're like setting up for, you have to be prepared to go to 2 or 3 different locations. You need to run the permits for 2-3 different locations. You have to prepare the location. But it's a thing here in Chicago, absolutely. Especially in the summer, and in the winter, not so much. But in the spring and the fall, which is when the weather is more changes the most, that's when you have to keep that in mind.
Is getting permits as difficult here as it is in New York?
I've heard that it's much easier here in Chicago. We have a great Chicago film office, which is the one that my job is to be in touch with them, and it's a pretty straightforward process. And because I have worked with them for so many years, they trust me that what I promised them, that we were gonna park the trucks here and not park them over here. It happens. There are certain restrictions. You can never park in front of a fire hydrant. You can never park in a handicapped spot, which makes sense, of course. So you have to respect those things as a location manager. And but yes, it's a pretty straightforward process. Again, you hire also the police and the security and the fire safety officer. So it's like a checklist that you have to do for every location.
Do you have to have police every time you're shooting outside on the streets?
Yes, when you're filming on the street, yes, especially obviously if you're close in a street, then you need police officers at each end of the street. Sometimes if you're doing a really big lockup, you need more than 2 officers. Sometimes if you're filming on the Chicago River, then you need the Chicago police marine unit. They come with their own boat, and it's a thing.
Does the job get easier the more that you know people and the ones to go to, and who's friendly and cooperative?
Yeah.
Does it get easier as you do more?
Absolutely. I mean, when once you get to know all the people, and for example, if you want to film on a train, like a lot of productions come here to Chicago because of the L train, and we have our contacts at the Chicago Transit Authority. So you just pick up the phone and just say, "Hey, Bill, we want to film on a train here." And he's like, "Okay, Stefan, don't worry about it. We got it." And he talks to the CTA, and he definitely makes our life easier because he's our liaison there.
When you go to someplace, do you think of it as a location? Like if you go to a restaurant, do you start looking around and go, the camera could go over there, and then there's this over here. Do you see places like that?
I actually when I go to restaurants sometimes with my wife, which is not very often because
you're working.
It's always, you always think, oh, well, we filmed at this restaurant and we filmed at that table over there, and I don't have a good memory from here.
That's so sad.
You get jaded in that way, yes.
No.
Or I mean, it's actually very common. And or a street corner, this street corner here, like the AD yelled at me because we couldn't get the shot here, so I don't have a good memory from this. But PTSD, right?
Right. But that happens sometimes too, when they swear to you that they're going to be shooting this way on the street, and then they want to go to the next street that you don't have the permit for, right?
It happens, and then you have to stand up your ground and say, you know what, we don't have a permit to go there. And oh yes, but the shot would look great if we go here. Yeah, I'm sorry, but we cannot do that. And
or I asked you at the time.
I don't remember when you asked me that. I don't have it in my notes.
Does anybody shoot just on the street with a couple of people and actors messing in with the general population? I mean, that's
what
how they used to shoot.
What decade are you in?
Well, I'm a bit old-fashioned, I must say, but that's what they used to do, especially in France. Just use the public and shoot surreptitiously.
The right way to do it is the permit. I mean, if it's a small independent movie, maybe, but I always follow the rules. I would prefer, you don't want to get the call from some neighbor will call the city. The city will contact the film office, and the film office will call me. Hey, Stefan, are you really there? You don't what are you doing there? Did you park a car where you're not supposed to park a car? So I would prefer to play by the rules and, just get all my permits in place.
But you wouldn't recommend your job to anybody?
It's you keep coming back to this.
It's a very interesting job. I've seen places, I've gone to places that no other job would have let me do it. Like every day in my job is different. I am never at the same place twice.
Yeah, that's what's wonderful about the film industry, isn't it? About the experience of it. Yeah.
It's truly remarkable. I mean, it has its pros and cons as any other job, and the grass is always greener on the other side. when you were on set at 4 a.m, you wish you had a more normal job when you would wake up at 8 and it would be more structured, But at the same time, I wouldn't go to the city under the loop that is all the tunnels there,
The sewers.
So,
you like the sewers.
Exactly,
I'd be worried they're full of alligators.
Yeah, well, exactly. We don't be dealing with the alligators. Yeah, so it has its. I always say you have to have a certain personality to do our job. Not only locations, anybody in the film business, and a lot of people, including my wife, thinks that I'm crazy for doing this, and we think that the other people maybe are. How would you have the same job for, doing this same thing every day after day? But so it really depends. I think it's a personal perspective about how you approach it. Some people absolutely love it, or people don't love it so much. I'm kind of in the middle somewhere.
It is love-hate, isn't
it? I remember that we were shooting in South Dakota, and before we started shooting, the production wanted to have a party with the town and told all the crew people, you have to go, you have to be charming, we've got to work in this town, so be nice. So we went, and I was talking to a lot of people, and they were asking me about the life in film and doing things. And I realized they felt really sorry for me. It had never occurred to me that someone would feel that way.
The thing I remember about South Dakota most actually is we scouted in like late winter. And we didn't go back until we went, a few weeks before shooting. And the whole landscape had gone from this wonderful brown emptiness. There was all these sunflowers. It had been its most wet, wonderfully warm spring, and everywhere you went there was these wonderful yellow sunflowers, huge things all over our locations. Actually, it's in the film. I mean, it looks nice, but it was nothing like we imagined
unexpected,
it.
Yeah.
Actually, the reaction that I think the most common reaction from people that I get when, let's say, we're filming in someone's house and people see what actually happens and how much time it takes to set up the shot and then just dress it, and then we film for, the take is like a minute or 2 minutes, and then reset and do the whole thing again. And people are like, "That's it? Like you did all of this for like 2 or 3 minutes at the end?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it might not even make it to the final cut, Or even the movie might not even make. I mean, I've worked on many pilots that never saw the light of the day, So that's how it is. That's really how it is.
Yeah, it's all coming back. No, I mean, it is like that though. It's a really boring industry. You spend 90% of the day waiting.
That's exactly what it is. That's how it is. Yes, and as I said, you never know, and then you put all this effort into it, and like the sleepless nights, and like the fights with my wife because I wasn't home at that, and this and that, and then the movie turns out to be bad, like
just bad.
Okay, well,
and you can never tell when it's shooting, because sometimes I think the ones that feel the worst when you're shooting it turn out the best, and the ones you think are going to go really well don't turn out that well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's how it is. Yes,
yeah, that's how it is. No, it's fun, really.
What advice would you give to someone who actually wants to get into the location department, which probably not after hearing this, but if they did still want to get into the location department, what would you say would be a good path?
I think these days it's much easier to get into the film business overall than back when I started.
Really? You're the only person I think that has ever said that.
Why is that? Because there's more work, there's so many streaming series and things like that?
I think it's because of the amount of work that is. I mean, for the past 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 years, I've hired people in my department as an assistant, literally with zero experience. It's almost off the street because I need people, and then I need somebody, and I just got a call from somebody who has worked with this kid and he really wants to do it, and I would just hire him because I need somebody. But if you really want to do it, just make calls and call people. I mean, Chicago it's a big city, and lately production has slowed down somewhat. But there is always opportunities, and just call people, and somehow people you would get on a job, like you would get on a production assistant, or maybe not right away as a scout or as in the locations department, but you'll find your way. If you really want to make it, you will find your way.
So it's not really necessary to go to LA or New York. You could be here, obviously, and create your own career, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think Chicago has been good to me and to a lot of, we have a thriving film community here. or from what I hear in LA right now, it's been really slow for the past, months, maybe even
longer
years.
than that.
Yes. So I've had colleagues that have moved to LA, and after a few months they have come back here to Chicago just because it's been so slow. And even Atlanta, that was such a big thing a few years ago, it's slow there as well. So Chicago, it's not very, very busy, but there's always work here.
And is it getting busier, do you think? Do you think more is coming in, or is it just sort of the same?
It's kind of this. Maybe it has slowed down, but again, it's such a cyclic business. Like we go through periods. Like a few years ago, right before COVID, even during COVID, we were very, very busy, mostly with TV, with TV projects. Now it's getting a little slower, but again, you never know. It's next year might be very, very busy. So there is always something happening here.
Well, great. Thank you for giving us
Thank
all
you
this
for
information.
having me.
This is great.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be your guest.
It's been our
here.
pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
If you'd like to sponsor the Team Deakins podcast, let us know at pod@teamdeakins.com. Thanks for listening. If you want more information and further discussion, check out the forums at www.rogerdeakins.com. Becoming a member is free, and you can ask follow-up questions there. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast for more new questions and topics. Also, check us out on Instagram at team.deakins. See you next time.